In this particular installment, and by the way, folks, this is Brett Keane, we're going to be discussing some movies that I've watched recently, which ones suck balls, which ones were pretty cool, and stuff like that. Some movies that you should probably go out and rent or buy. Um, let's see, let's start with, I believe this movie is called 100 Million BC or 1 Million BC, whatever the fuck. I don't care enough to even go through the actual title, but you'll get the point. The movie was horrible. I made it through about 10 or 15 minutes of it, and a lot of you will probably say, well, that's not fair. You shouldn't review a fucking movie. If the movie doesn't catch your attention in about 15, 10 minutes and shit like that, and you can tell right off the bat, if it causes you strain and makes you break out in a fucking sweat and start having anxiety because the acting is so horrible and the fucking graphics are so ridiculous, almost like watching an 8-bit Nintendo game and shit, then I think it's safe to say it's time to turn the fucking movie off and start making a video yourself, letting people know don't waste your fucking buck on it. It was a horrible movie. I was telling my friend Bond that there's, right off the beginning of the movie, there's this woman and this fucking Mexican fella climbing up the side of this cliff. They're so high up in the fucking air on this cliff that you can see the goddamn clouds just practically touching the tips of their fucking head. Now, this is funny in itself, but the woman somehow, whenever she gets to climbing down the side of the cliff, she only makes it 2 feet, and her strap begins to break. Now, a true actor in the situation would go, holy shit, my fucking strap is breaking and I'm about to fall to my death. But not her. She's like, oh no, my strap is breaking. I think I'm going to die. Right then and there, I realized that someone wasn't getting paid enough, or someone got pulled off the street to play this part. Well, as she says, the strap does end up breaking. She falls about 100 stories into the void of darkness and evil and hits this little ledge below. Now, she's fallen for about 5 minutes, so I would say that's probably about 100,000 fucking miles off into nowhere. She hits the goddamn ledge, and she's laying there, and of course, being the logical, reasonable human being that I am, I suspected she's dead, but thank goodness, because she was a terrible actor anyway. But the Mexican talks to her on the walkie-talkie and says, you okay? Yeah, you okay? And she all of a sudden sits up. She's got no scars, no scratches, no nothing. And she says, yeah, I found a cave. So she looks on the fucking wall. If that wasn't enough that somehow she survived this unbelievably ignorant fall, she looks on the cave and sees some writing. And it looks like fucking Barney, fucking Tobey Maguire or something. It didn't look like hieroglyphics, but she's all looking at it like, oh my goodness, there must be dinosaurs in the cave. There's a drawing of Barney right there. I'm like, oh, I can't do it. And that was about the time and shit that I threw my remote control at the TV and shit. And it magically turned it off and stuff, and I was safe in my own awesome world again. So don't get that fucking movie. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'll tell you what. If you don't believe me, go over to Netflix, go over to any one of these movie sites, and you'll see that it is so lowly rated and shit. It is so fucking low that it has to look up to see the bottom of a snake. It is so fucking low and shit that it barely reaches the atmosphere of my cigarette when it's on the ground. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about another fucking movie, Fred Claus. I watched this, and I was actually moved. Of course, Santa Claus is a mythological character that apparently parents still feel the need to lie to their children and bullshit them into it, along with the Tooth Fairy and Easter Bunny and whatever nonsense character people come up with for holidays. But the point is that the movie's really, really good. Unfortunately, some of the actors have some very strong and powerful names that I cannot remember, but most of you have probably seen the theatrical trailer and probably have seen it yourselves, and for those who haven't, you should probably do it. It's a good fucking movie. The one guy I do remember who pulled off an awesome performance as usual is Kevin Spacey. It was fantastic. Good movie about Santa Claus having a dysfunctional family, and I thought it was very, very modern and partay. So definitely get Fred Claus. I'm not going to tell you too much more about it. You get the idea. The story is about Santa Claus, dysfunctional family. I'm going to cut it there because we don't want to ruin the storyline for you. I watched another movie, too, that had John Malkovich, George Clooney, as well as Brad Pitt in it, and a couple other idiots. It had the bitch off Narnia that plays the Ice Queen. She plays a real snobby bitch in the movie and stuff. It's almost hard to watch her and stuff because she seems like she's a natural at it anyway. If you've ever seen her at any other movies or in interviews, she's just so stuck up and shit. Got her nose so far up in the air and stuff. I'm surprised she doesn't do a complete and utter circle with her own head up her ass. But the deal is, folks, is that it was horrible. It was supposed to be like a comeback movie for George Clooney. Apparently after Ocean's 10, 11, 12, 13, all the way up 2000, George Clooney is kind of losing his thing and shit ever since he fucking started doing like Batman back in the day when Tim Burton was turning Bruce Wayne into Edward fucking Scissorhands and shit. Luckily they made the Gotham Knight and they got rid of Tim Burton and let somebody who had some fucking talent work on it and shit. So now I believe Tim Burton's working on shit like Sweeney Todd, which ain't too bad of a fucking movie. Too much singing, kind of makes me sick, kind of gory and stuff, but still. Tim Burton, no, don't get me wrong, folks, he has some skill. Okay, I'm not going to completely cut that fucking weirdo that looks like he's from The Cure down. But what the deal is that George Clooney, I think that he's truly losing it. He's losing it. His acting has never been really that incredible. I think that women have enjoyed him because they think that he's somewhat attractive. He's got the gray hair thing going like I do. He's got the whole gangster Mac thing. But his acting is really swindling. I don't know if he's got on crack cocaine or whatever his deal is. Brad Pitt plays a very unusual part. I have always had admiration for Brad Pitt, especially in movies like Legends of the Fall, the movie Seven, where he plays with Morgan Freeman and Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey, of course, the villain. I've always thought Brad Pitt had a lot of potential, even in Fight Club with Edward Norton, which also is another admired actor. But Brad Pitt plays a retard in this movie. He plays a fucking dumbass like bodybuilder or whatever. I never really noticed him having like big giant muscles that he belongs as a bodybuilder or anything. He's not up there with Schwarzenegger, the governor or anything. But he plays a real fucking dummy. And I'm not talking about just normal dumb. I'm talking about he's so fucking dumb that Forrest Gump would probably hit him upside the head. He was so stupid. So don't watch the movie. There's no good acting in the movie. The only thing that made me laugh at all was John Malkovich cussing every 5 fucking seconds and yelling at people, punching people in the face, especially all the people who had terrible acting skills. That was the only thing that got me through the hour and a half of this movie. And of course, thinking that George Clooney and Brad Pitt may actually come in and save the movie at some point in time, it just didn't happen. I felt like I was in church and I wasn't getting salvation anytime soon. So let's see, what other fucking movies, I'll try to be quick about this. Let's see, we watched, what other garbage have we watched? Oh, I recently watched a movie called Starman with Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges is also another really good actor. He's one of those guys that makes like a few really cool movies and then kind of disappears and stuff, like Christian Slater and shit, slapping ass. But he ends up, I watched it, very old movie. I don't know if a lot of you still remember it, but if you want to, if you plan on buying like a collection of DVDs, I'd recommend getting Starman. I believe it's by John Carpenter, the movie, the storyline, about a goddamn alien that comes down and clones itself to make it look like this woman's dead husband, and then the entire mission is to get himself from one point to another so he can be picked up by his little alien green friends and be taken out to the fucking planet. But there's a whole like drama and thriller with the government chasing him and this woman who's with this guy that looks like her dead husband and shit, and she's feeling that love and kindness, and just a lot of really beautiful things happen in that movie. So I think that you guys ought to watch it. It's got a lot of moral and subliminal things in there that make you think as well. So that's it, folks, on this particular topic. I'll be doing many more videos. Hope you all enjoy. If you don't, then that's too fucking bad. See you later. It's Brett Keane.